Assalamu alaikum salam. Just before we begin, if you support the Young Smirks podcast and you want to help support the channel, please go to the Patreon below and support us monthly so we can keep up with the shows. We've got lots of content coming up. We're going to have special content specifically for the Patreons, as well as a new series on Hijrah, inshallah. So please go to the Patreon below and support the podcast. Assalamu alaikum salam.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to the Young Smirks podcast. It's me, John Fontaine. I've got a very good brother on today, Muhammad Sajjad. Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Assalamualaikum, John. How you doing? You okay?
My fellow Mancunian brother.
Yeah, you were in Manchester, weren't you, initially?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So, I think it was last week, I just got wind of something going on in my hometown, Manchester. And I heard that there was 300 kids where the Muslims have taken over 300 kids outside of their school because they had some issues with some of the teaching, what's going on there. So I know you have been at the forefront of what's been going on. So I wanted to get a bit of information from yourself just to kind of let people know what's going on in the UK, because we've been following the LGBTQ agenda for the past however many years. And of course, it's hit America on quite a big scale. And it's actually starting to affect the UK and Europe in a big way now. So I don't know to what extent. So I know that you've been involved in something that's going on with your own children in their own local schools. And this hit home to me because I've heard about Birmingham, I heard about London, but when I heard it was in Manchester, I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is really close to home now. So just introduce yourself a bit and give us a bit of a background of what's been going on, because this is not something that's just started now. This has been ongoing for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So my name's Mohammed Sajjad. We've started calling ourselves concerned parents because there's a lot of people out there who want to kind of brush you with a certain rhetoric, which is homophobic, transphobic, and all sorts of phobias can come out then. But essentially, we're just concerned parents. We're sending our kids to school, and how much are we really aware of what they're getting taught and what they're being shown and what they're being told? And like yourself, like we all heard about what happened in Birmingham 2019, was it? And in other countries, in other cities. And essentially, like you said with America, you know how it is, a trend will start off across there and then it'll come across the pond. So whatever kind of starts to pick up over there, it's just a matter of time before it comes across. And I think, like most parents, myself, like you only kind of end up paying attention to stuff that becomes relevant to you. So when I was hearing about Birmingham and stuff, I didn't really understand what was going on. And really all I was kind of very engaged in my children's education. And so I've got 6 children, and my eldest is 6. And so when she's gone into year 1, and this is at Birchfield Primary School, I never really asked any questions before that because they tend not to touch on these topics in nursery and reception. So I understood. I now understand that that's also false. Yeah, for them, there is no age limit. There is no age appropriation. It's let's push it down their throat as soon as possible, as quick as possible, and as quietly as possible. And this is why, like, one of the points that you're making about when it hit your hometown, Manchester, this has been in Manchester for a while. When the curriculum was rolled out in 2020, that schools have to teach certain things, it's been all over since then. But the thing is, people have just not, it's either parents are not really engaging with their children's education, or from my experience now, school are trying their best to keep this as quiet as possible. They know there's intention. They know there's going to be legitimate concerns being raised by parents. And the problem is they can't answer them questions.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I was watching your interview yesterday actually, and one thing that stood out to me was the deception of the school hiding what they actually teaching. You know, the fact that they taught them and the lesson was not recorded in the book. And you know, so the parents wouldn't have found out about this if unless the children
didn't.
spoke about it. You know, so
No.
can you just give us a little bit of a background? Basically,
You want a chronology overview on where
start at the end, and then we'll go back. Like, what have they been teaching the kids?
So, you know what? I'm going to start from the start and kind of work my way forward, because it gives a better breakdown of how we got there, and it paints the narrative much better. So, started off me walking home with my daughter, and as I do every time, walking from one classroom to another, because I've got children in other years group, I'm asking her, how was school today? What did you learn? Oh, Dad, we watched a video today. I'm like, okay, what was the video saying? Oh, it was about a little boy who was very sad, and then he became a girl, and he's happy. My child's in year 1. She's 6 years old. I'm thinking, what's all this about?
Wow.
So I've gone into reception and I've asked them. They give me the video link. It's on YouTube. So teachers just plucked this off YouTube and decided to show the kids. When I've got home later on, kids are in bed, watch this video, and it's the Willow Everywhere video. You can find it on YouTube. It's absolutely horrible, and you can decide when I want to go down into the legal framework that's put this curriculum in place, and then the Equality Act that supports it, and what the curriculum is supposed to do is to teach respect and tolerance for all parts of community. So there's 9 protected characteristics, which is age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnerships, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion and belief, sex and sexual orientation. So what the Equality Act of 2010 says is that you have to have respect, tolerance and equality for all of these people.
All right.
So the RSC framework, when they're teaching this, what they're supposed to be teaching is respect and tolerance for these, what we call 9 protected characteristics. This video teaches nothing about respect and tolerance. It's absolutely had nothing to do with respect and tolerance. And in my complaint, so I complained about the video. I had a meeting with the governors of the school. In my complaint, when I sat down with them in the meeting, I said to them point blank, this is not teaching respect and tolerance. This is advertising and indoctrination to a bunch of 6-year-olds who have no idea what this little girl is talking about. And all my daughter took from it is Will was sad, and then he became Willow, and now he's happy. It's a horrible video, to show to a 6-year-old.
It's just confusing for them. I mean, how's a 6-year-old supposed to understand anything like that? I mean, we struggle as adults to understand this, and the sad thing is that it's being pushed in the curriculum. You know, this is not, I mean, this is, you've got obviously the outlines of the law, but this is this is the individual school that are choosing to promote it. There's a difference between tolerance and promoting it, right?
That's it.
And what's the idea behind it? Are they trying to encourage children to do this?
Essentially, yeah, because look, there's certain things, there's a fine line between them. There's no fine line between teaching respect and tolerance and literally like indoctrination. There's a very broad, thick line, and you really have to go out your way to step over that marker.
But how are our, you know, I mean, as part of that, you've got the religious element as well. And why is our religious beliefs not respected as well?
So this is where it becomes complicated for teachers, yeah, because you've got, well, what they were highlighting was, look, you've got two protected characteristics with kind of overlap. And I was like, look, they don't overlap. Yeah, there's no overlap in them. And we had a meeting recently with council, and I kind of broke this down. And I think due to kind of Islamophobic, like kind of subconscious bias and racial profiling, people fail to understand Islam's stance on homosexuality. Yeah, we're able to differentiate the sin from the person, because homosexuality in Islam is a sin. So if you're Muslim and you have homosexual thoughts, there's no sin attached with that.
Yeah.
If you're Muslim and you engage in homosexual activity, there's sin attached with that. Now, people will very quickly say, well, that's very homophobic. No, because Islam doesn't say to hate the person, it says to hate the act. Yeah, the act is not liked. And like, so the thing is, there's many acts in Islam which are attached sin to it. Does that mean as a Muslim I go around hating any drinking, alcohol, fornication, gambling, sex out of marriage? And I explained this to the council just recently, because you know the people that we're meeting now, which is Manchester City Council head, he genuinely just asked, he goes, look, can you explain to me how we bridge this overlap? And I said, because there is no actual overlap. I said, so look, I know people who are Muslim and they drink. I said, they're still my friends. I said, but they engage in an act which incurs a sin. And I said, you know, so there's sin attached to thingy, and we have a problem with the act and thingy. And I said, now look, if you want to understand where the issue with the act is, it comes down to procreation and continuation of life. So it's not like we think, oh, you're dirty and disgusting and a horrible person. We think that act will not result in procreation of life.
But even putting our religious views aside, even just from a democratic perspective, we're allowed to have different beliefs. We're allowed to not agree with certain things. That's the whole point of their system, which is the democratic process. You go through the parliament.
It's okay to have an opinion on it, which
exactly.
is fine. Religious beliefs is one of the protected characteristics. So how do you now teach this stuff by protecting both characteristics? And I was like, look, if you're teaching respect and tolerance, if you say to my child, there's some people out there who are transgender, who have transitioned from man to woman, that's their choice, and you should be respectful of them and tolerant. You don't have the right to abuse them or be violent towards them or discriminate against them. When you're turning around and telling my child it's okay for you as a Muslim to transition, you're now kind of covering a gray area, which is you're inflicting on religious beliefs. And this is where you're no longer protecting that characteristic.
Yeah.
And that's how and that's what I explained to him, that's how you've got to teach it, by teaching people respect and tolerance. But instead, obviously, they've gone down the route, and we have the documented complaints once we've opened up the floodgates. So basically, from the Willow video, my kind of complaint, they've removed the video from curriculum. And this is kind of what's brought us to where we are today. They felt it was okay to just remove the video. That's my initial concern, get rid of the video. My next concern is, how did it get there in the first place? Who was part of that vetting process? Who decided it's appropriate for year ones, a 6-year-old? So what we call age appropriation. Who decided the age appropriation on it? And what else is there that potentially my child's not told me, because school have not told us anything? And this is where the mistrust is. This is where it's really fell apart.
Yeah.
You're not being open and honest with us. We're having to hear from our kids, and so therefore we don't trust what you have to say unless you be clear and transparent with us with regards to content and material.
Yeah. So this initial point about the video was last year, right?
Last year, yeah.
So what happened in this past year and got you to where you are today, and up until a couple of weeks ago when 300 kids are leaving the school?
Well, this is the thing, and the school are trying to paint it out like parents have just found out and we've just kicked off. No, for a whole year, we've been trying to engage in conversation with the school. So they have two topics, one RSE, which is relationship and sex education, yeah, and the other one is called PSHE. The Willow video was shown in PSHE. So the school started opening up dialogue with regards to showing us content and material, but they were only showing us the content and material of RSE.
Are these compulsory subjects? Do you get a choice with these, or?
you know, every little thing becomes a conflict with this school. So relationship education is compulsory according to the RSE framework, and I've studied it inside out, and I have it with me just in case I want to reference to certain things for you. But in the RSE framework, it states that relationship education, RE, is compulsory in primary school, so not sex education. And relationship and sex education is compulsory in secondary school.
All right.
Now, the school are adamant they're not teaching sex education. So then I asked the question, if you're not teaching sex education and you're just teaching relationship education, why is the subject called RSE? I mean, you're not idiots, but the problem is we don't trust you now. So I'm going to put it point blank. If you called it RSE, it's because you're teaching an element of sex education in there.
Yeah.
Which they've denied, and they said, no, we don't teach sex education. So why are you calling it RSE? Why don't you just call it RE?
Yeah.
No answer, obviously.
So basically it started with these two subjects. You were telling us. So you were questioning the school about what they were teaching in that curriculum.
Yeah, so the school gave us initial consultation in September to give the overview of the year. There was quite a few parents there, and we said, look, are you going to touch on RSE and PSHE? Because we still had the hauntings from last year going on. And school were like, look, we're going to consult with parents on that, but we're going to do it in the last part of the term, because they teach RSE at in June and July in Pride Month, basically. That's when the RSE lessons take place. Even though RSE is teaching respect and tolerance of all the 9 protected characteristics, they teach it towards the end of the year, and they really take advantage of Pride Month. And so we were like, yeah, but you teach PSHE throughout the year. So why are we not being shown PSHE content material? They've adamantly told every newspaper, every media outlet, we have consulted with parents. This is a disingenuous statement. They've said we will show you RSE content and material. They know we've been asking for PSHE as well, and they're not showing us the content material on PSHE. So they highlighted, basically, there's me and about 4 or 5 other parents who are born in the UK, educated in the UK, raised in the UK, and we're all young professionals. Now, I don't know if you know about the demographics of Longsight. Essentially, a lot of migrants, a lot of first generation, English in their first language, low income area. So there's a handful of us who are educated and professionals who were able to read between the lines. And they kept highlighting us, saying, oh, it's just you parents, it's just you parents. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take it upon myself, and I'm going to start engaging with all the other parents and asking them, you know what, school are not going to tell us, ask your kids. And this is important for anyone listening to this. Do not expect your school to be open and honest with you. They know the backlash that is going to come, and they're going to cover it up and keep it away from you at every extent. Ask your children, what have you learned? Even try and be open and honest with your children and say, look, have you learned anything regarding, you know, sex, regarding transgender or transitioning? Ask them these questions. It's very important that you engage with your kids, because school is not going to tell you.
I mean, this is a thing. I mean, we're sending our children to, you know, to school for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. They're not in your care. You don't even know half the teachers and the influences they're having at school. It's so important that we're actively involved in understanding what's being taught to them. And this is kind of why, you know, I don't even like to live in the UK anymore. You know, I've not lived in the UK for over 5 years, and there's a growing number of people leaving the UK, leaving Canada, leaving America, traveling different parts of the world, trying to look for a more safer place to raise children. It's really scary. It's terrifying. So the school where you send your children, what's the population of like Muslims in that school?
99% Muslim population.
Really? And for the children, that the parents that removed their children from the school in protest of what was going on, were the only Muslim parents that did that, or were there any non-Muslim parents that also removed their children?
There's only a handful of non-Muslim parents, obviously with the school being 99% Muslim population. And so there was a handful of them non-Muslim parents who were in agreement with us.
Yeah.
Look, there were a lot of Muslim parents who were in agreement with us, but still didn't take their kids off school because they couldn't facilitate having children off school. However, we created a Google document of the parents that were in approval of the decisions that we were making. 228 parents signed that, and it comprised, I think, nearly 400 children of the school, and the school's population of children is about 670. So it was a large portion of us. So all year anyway, we've been asking, look, content and material, PSHE, RSE. They kept saying, RSE, we're going to consult with you towards the end of the year. But we're like, you're teaching PSHE all year. You're teaching it throughout the year. Yeah. We've got to the end of year. We've had the meeting on RSE. We've had a good open dialogue. Yeah, with school have showed us the content material. We've discussed kind of stuff that we don't agree with. They've taken them slides out. We've come to the end of the meeting. We're like, okay, so where's PSHE? Because the Willow video was in PSHE, so we know you're teaching it in other lessons. Oh, we can't show you that. It's just not thingy. There's another thing they always come out with. You know, a lot of the companies. There's a lot of companies that sell the RSE curriculum and the PSHE curriculum to schools. They put a copyright on it saying school cannot hand this out to other people or cannot share this material with parents. Yeah, which I just find absolutely ludicrous. If you're offering a good curriculum, a safe curriculum, yeah, a teaching curriculum for children, why would you have an issue with this being shared with parents or carers? Yeah. I'm just, again, like with this, like it's in the legal framework. So this is on the RSE framework from the Secretary of State forward before the document even starts. We are clear that parents and carers are the prime educators of children on many of these matters. Schools complement and reinforce this role and have told us that they see building on what pupils learn at home as an important part of delivering a good education. They understand all of this. In that same forward, they're saying the depth and breadth of views is clear. There are understandable and legitimate areas of contentions. It must be taught sensitively and inclusively with respect to the backgrounds and beliefs of pupil and parents, while always with the aim of providing pupils with the knowledge they need of the law. They know that it's a sensitive topic. They understand all of this. Honestly, we didn't ask for nothing big. All we said was we want to see the content and material. What's there to hide? If there's nothing wrong, and this is all the school ever said, we're not doing anything. We're doing the bare minimum. And we were arguing age appropriation. Why is a 6-year-old shown this? Show us the material so we can discuss with you. Can we move it to year 6? Can we move it to things? Should certain things even be there? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Because it seems from what's legislated that it's not really to propagate it in that sense. It's literally just teaching tolerance. So why are the school taking it an extra step further? Why are they pushing it? Is it like is it a government agenda or is it the school's agenda?
You know what? That's something, like, to be honest with you, like my eyes are kind of starting to open up to a bit more. To some extent, I just thought the school is not understanding the curriculum. It's a new framework, 2020. We've had COVID. No one's been in school. And we said to school, we understand you guys are adjusting to this new thing. As this journey's gone on, to be honest with you, and I've only highlighted this recently to City Council, I feel there's a lot of kind of Islamophobia, and I think there's a lot of racial profiling. With myself personally, I'm starting to get the feeling now. I know for a fact there's been racial profiling. 6'3", big stocky guy, big beard. You know, the kind of image they have of Islam, and this is why I respected the council member who said, "Look, I'm not Islamophobic. I just don't understand it." He said, "Look, I'm a middle-aged white man. I've lived in a white area. Yeah, like I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me?" That is like a very honest and open view. There's word coming out from the school that, Muslims don't want us to teach this. Yeah, Muslims just want it.
Well, I grew up in white racist areas, and my family are white. We understand it fully. We're in full agreement with the Islamic perspective. That I don't know any of my family members will really agree to this. You know, even my parents. This is what they're teaching children.
They
This is
try
not.
to make it a Muslim
It's
issue.
not
This is
just
the
Muslims
point.
who don't agree with this. I mean, you was interviewed by a Christian recently.
Yeah, Michael
You know,
Gray.
yeah, and I just don't understand. And what really upset me was Andy Burnman, the Lord Mayor,
Mayor of
the
Manchester.
Mayor of
Yeah.
Manchester, like dishing out fines for taking the kids out. Right? They were saying that it's not a reason to keep your kids off school.
You know what it is? I'll be honest with you. It looks like, and I'll be quite honest with you, what the school have tried to do, again, this is racial profiling, Islamophobia, because we're now sat with the people in the city council who issued these fines. And it's fair to say they were painted a very one side of a story. We didn't have a chance to have a dialogue with them. So as we've had these meetings and school aren't showing us the PSHE, we've got parents together and we said, look, what shall we do? At the time, teachers were striking for their pay. We understand it's a school. We understand there's children involved. We understand there's teachers there. We didn't want any individual teacher to feel like they were being targeted. We didn't want any kids to feel like, under pressure. So we decided we'll do a strike. We'll keep the kids off school in a form of protest. It's the most safest, nicest way. No one can feel victimized, nothing. School heard about this on the Friday. So Friday, I'd say 9th of June, which with the protest was on Monday, 12th of June. They've turned around and called police to a primary school, 3 at every gate. They've got tasers on him, yeah. And we're just like, all the parents were picking their kids up from school and they're like, why is there police here? So a lot of parents actually got scared from protesting. Saying,
Intimidation,
and the local councillor governor even said, look, police are going to come and you're going to get fined and you're going to get, your benefits are going to get stopped. And these are words that the local councillor governor made. And so when people have seen police, a lot of people actually got scared from taking part in a peaceful protest. But that's it. The school just wouldn't engage, wouldn't have dialogue with us. And so we just said, you know what, if you're going to keep saying it's just 5-6 parents, so we kept the kids off school. I think it was about 35% attendance. Sent the school a letter to say, look, we don't want to take these steps. All we want is an open and honest conversation, be transparent with the content material, and let's just have a discussion. You've got curriculum that you need to tick. We've got contentions and we've got concerns. Let's find the middle ground. Let's be reasonable. Let's be rational. Let's be grown adults about it. What do we get? A letter of fine. Yeah. So we're like, the risk of fine. And it was just, to be honest with you, the letter, I think from the school's behalf, it was very unempathetic. Yeah. And from the person that written the letter, that was just a general letter to explain how fines work at school. Yeah. But the school chose to go down that route.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay. So the next week we did a 3-day. So we did 19, 20 and 21st of June protest by keeping the kids off school. Again, handed the school a letter to say, look, we don't want to keep doing this. We don't want to keep our kids off school. All we want is, number 1 was a meeting where you showed the content and material. We wanted, number 2 was to be brought in on the discussion of deciding the age appropriateness of this material. And number 3 was, we wanted to create a platform where parents, 2 parents or 3 parents from each year group be present in the class to make sure the teacher's delivering it properly. Because there's this term called pedagogy, which is how material is delivered. And we've got complaints where teachers are telling people, oh yeah, it's okay to be Muslim and gay. No, you've now breached one of the 9 protected characteristics. Yeah. Some people are Muslim and they engage in homosexuality is different. Turning around and saying some people are gay regardless of their religion, but you should respect everyone is different. To turn around and say, as if you're a scholar, it's okay to be Muslim and gay. No, now you've infringed on religion and belief as one of the 9 protected characteristics. So these were the 3 very simple things that we asked for, rejected. And then again, we got another letter. And the reason I say it wasn't Andy Burnham, it was another fella in the city council. He's now in meetings with us and having dialogue with us. And to be honest with you, in all fairness, school tried to paint a picture of a mob, of an angry mob, of a bunch of thugs, really painted the Birmingham picture. Yeah. And like the rumours that went around me, I've gone around ripping rainbow lanyards off teachers' necks. I've gone in calling one of the LGBTQ members of staff a sinner. Yeah, I called all the teachers at school paedophiles. I was waiting outside with a mob of 12 guys to beat up the head teacher who finished a meeting late. None of this is evidence, no police call, no documentation. And with reference to some of the events, I've actually got meeting minutes from people who were waiting outside to meet because they would have a meeting with the head teacher. And they asked us, wait outside, we'll fill you in with the meeting when you come. Even the police have documented they arrived on that date when I was with 12 mobs, thugs waiting for her. The police have documented and they stood and had a half-an-hour conversation with me.
Yeah. So they're really trying to, demonize the parents and trying to really put pressure on the parents. And
no, that's racial profiling though, because I'm 6'3", I'm brown skinned, I live in Longside, I've got a beard. Look, you've got the oil protesters at the moment.
Yeah.
None of their religious beliefs are bought into it. None of their race is bought into it. None of them are called thugs or mobs. They're labeled as disruptive. Yeah, they're labeled as selfish and whatever else. But none of them are referred to in any kind of villainizing way. Like really defamation and stuff.
We've seen this happen in other European countries. It was happening in Norway, and they actually took many children, specifically from the Somali community, because Norway has a big Somali community, and the first generation immigrants, and don't know the language very well. They're taking advantage of and they're just taking kids off the families. They make some
ripping them from families.
Make up some rubbish about Islamic extremism, your views, against the society or whatever, and they take the children. And then we see the same thing happening in France, and we're not at that stage yet in the UK, but this is the start of it. This is how it escalates. When they're speaking with this terminology, is going to escalate to that in the end. And it has happened. It has happened to Muslims in the UK as well. And I've had it myself as a Muslim. You remember I used to do the dawah tables on the city centre of Manchester in giving dawah. I've had the police give us problems, making up rumors about me, saying I'm Taliban, this, Taliban, all the rubbish, going into my local mosque and making them all scared of me. This is the type of games that they play behind closed doors to give you a bad picture. But by the same time, it just backfires. We're in the age of social media. When they got me through out of my mosque, I ended up going online and getting more recognition. The same as you, your stories now come to the forefront, and you're being interviewed by different TV outlets, and the message is getting out there. So it backfires on them.
They're actually helping spread the message. And
you've even got Tommy Robinson saying that they should work with Muslims, because this is not a Muslim only concern. This is a parent concern. You got Christians, Muslims, even atheists are not backing this. They don't like the way it's going in the UK, and it's going so quickly as well. It's changed.
If you're a parent, and you love your child, you want to protect them from anything and keep them as innocent as possible for as long as possible. So when you try and make it a religious issue, no, this is all parents. That's what every parent tries to do. Protect their children. And this is why it resonates with the likes of Tommy Robinson. I mean, you want to call it a Muslim issue? MP Miriam Cates openly speaks up in Parliament against this, and she's a biology teacher. So if any MP's got a finger, I don't know if you've heard of Miriam Cates. She's spoken out openly against this. MP Andrew Bridgend, he's just blatantly turned around recently and said someone needs to put an end to this. Rishi Sunak, he's not a Muslim, and he's turned around and said, we're getting funny reports about this stuff. We need to immediately review this RSE curriculum.
Yeah.
And so,
give me 1 second.
No worries.
I'm in trouble with my charger. I've got a bit of a. There. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
And so it's like, to label it a Muslim issue is ridiculous. And so they tried all this image to kind of make me look bad. And I mean, there's a lot happened in the last week, which has absolutely flipped it on its head. And as much as they tried to villainize me, like we run a charity in the local area, so we teach jiu-jitsu and wrestling for free for young boys and kids, and like so they've helped that get promoted even more. And that's something that I finance with a group of 5 lads from the local area, and you know they've helped promote that. But we had the first protest. We've had the fine letter. We had the second 3-day protest. We had a fine letter. The next week, we tried to avoid it because we were starting to engage in dialogue with city council people. And then basically, we had nothing but threats from school. And then basically, because it became such a big issue, city council people started contacting us, and quite high up as well, like heads of city council, heads of certain departments. We're now in meetings with them. And the honest truth is, they seen the truth for what it was. They painted a picture of unreasonable, irrational, mob, thug, so on and so forth. And then they've met with us, and they've met professional, concerned parent, pharmacist, articulates himself, very reasonable, can have open dialogue. And they're like, well, something's not adding up here.
Yeah.
Second meeting, third meeting. And the truth is, there was a lot going on in the school that shouldn't have been going on. And then I'm going to tell you what's happened in the last week, which hasn't really come out. The straw that broke the camel's back. They decided at the end of each year, they give home the books, the workbooks that the kids have worked on throughout the year. Miraculously, my children's yearbooks. So there was in year 2. So my daughter's part of a certain group in year 2. There's about 3 groups in each year group. Someone decided there was some miscommunication, and the books had been disposed of.
Wow.
Without anyone knowing. They've been thrown in a recycling bin. Apparently the school tried to recover it, but by the time they got to it, the bins had left. And I'm like, you really want me to buy that? Like, really? It's a hard sell. That I was laughing at the time. Like, I felt upset for my daughter.
I mean,
but
they're trying to hide what they're teaching, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no other way to kind of put it other than the fact that you're trying to cover up what you've taught throughout the year. If you had nothing to hide, you would have sent that book home happily. And it just so happened to be my child, the eldest year, who happened to see the Willow video. You're telling me in their head they didn't work out? This child of his obviously communicates with me really well. We've got a good relationship. She's my eldest daughter. Yeah, they thought, forget this. I would have sat down and gone through that whole book with her, and she's very sharp. She's got very good memory because we started off with homeschooling her. But like I said, she's my eldest, and she's 7 years old, and I've got 6 kids. We literally had child after child. We had twins in between, everything. So homeschooling got too much.
Yeah.
But we homeschooled her initially, and she's really sharp. So if I would have started picking out things, she would have told me exactly what went on in that lesson. So I'm destroying the books, and this has actually turned the narrative all against them. Yeah. Like, there's no defending this.
Yeah. So what are the parents saying about that? And has the council got involved?
The council are involved. We're having weekly meetings with Manchester City Council. Yeah, we've sat down, we've had really productive meetings. Manchester City Council have been very understanding and supportive, and they're helping us open up the doors of dialogue for the 3 things that we wanted, which was basically, we want to be able to see the content and material, we want to be able to decide on the age appropriation, and we don't trust the school now, so someone has to be in them lessons that can feed back what was said and taught in that lesson.
So what's the latest now? What's the next step?
The next step is to be honest with you, is to fight this all the way. Look, I'm a professional. I've got my own businesses. Yeah, I already made a decision that I'm going to pull my kids out of school and start homeschooling. Yeah, there's already an increase of 37% rise in homeschooling in the UK, and the reason for it is this RSE curriculum. Yeah, when you try and force stuff down people's throats that they don't want, yeah, they're gonna run away. And there's a lot of people who have left the UK, yeah. Like there's a Greece couple from one of my cousin's school. they've left and gone back to Greece because they're like, now we need to protect our child from people forcing stuff down the throat that people just don't want. Look, if you're from the LGBTQ plus community and that's a decision you make as an adult, that's fine. That's your choice. But leave our kids out of it. When they're adults, they can make their own decision in life. What gives you the right to force your ideology down their throat? If you want to teach them respect and tolerance for your community, fantastic. As a Muslim, I'm going to teach my kids Quran. Yeah, I'm going to speak to them about the Prophet Lut. Yeah, going to explain to them about the people of Lot. Yeah, and I'm going to have that discussion with him. But I will have that with my child at an age where I deem it appropriate, where I can give him a breakdown of why the religion has a rationale that deems it a sin. But to shove it down a 6-year-old throat, and I don't know if have you seen the Pride marches? And this is what, like, when you're celebrating Pride in school, these guys are chanting at Pride, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your kids. No, you're not.
Yeah, I've also seen a video got sent to me as well about some of the literature, some of the books that are starting to become available in the schools, and teaching about it as well. So, I mean, the basic thing is that Muslims should be very careful and they should know what's going on with their children. Like you say, homeschooling is an option. It's not an easy option. You've been there, you've done that. But it is an option, and it's something people should seriously think about. And also, people should actually start to consider whether where they live is actually the best place to live for them and their children and their family.
For them.
It's not just the schools; it's the whole environment. You know, everything that comes with it. So, that's something everybody needs to think about as well.
Look, I'm an adult. As an adult, that protected characteristics of religious and belief, and I'm unapologetically Muslim. Unapologetically, I will not shy away from any conversation on any aspect of Islam, no matter how anyone deems it, because I can rationalize it to them. Yeah. And like, so I'm unapologetically Muslim. My iman is strong enough so I can live here and protect it. But children are naive and vulnerable. Yeah. They're like sponges. They're going to absorb everything. So for me, if you're like, I might be able to protect my iman, but when I'm handing my child over to you, yeah, as a school, and the education system should facilitate children, not annihilate them. They're social and educational doctors, not killers of the family construct. Yeah, you're not there to replace me as dad. Yeah, if you want to replace me as dad, you go through what mom and dad went through. You carry that child for 9 months. You go through the pains of labor. You deliver that child. You go through the recovery. You go through the sleepless nights. You go through the waking up at night and feeding that child. You go through the teething, the colic, the diarrhea, the changing the dirty nappies, the going out every day as a dad and having had sleepless nights, still having to go work and earn money and provide and feed and clothe and shelter that child. You go through all of that and then you do what you want with that child. That's your child then. But until I'm the one doing that, no one's giving you the right to force stuff down my child's throat that you don't want. Like these pride marches, for example, celebrating pride at school, like these drag queens. So they've got like drag queens coming to libraries, and teaching baby sensory sessions, it's called. And it's all over social media. This isn't something I'm making up. These guys are wearing gimp outfits. These guys are wearing like the most ludicrous, sexualized clothing. And honestly, it's like cabaret type stuff.
I've seen it.
And they're teaching kids.
Yeah, I mean, primary school, what's being taught in primary school is one thing, but now secondary school, I'm guessing that's also going in a lot more detail.
Secondary school has become a joke. Look, we as adults can't even decide where a trans person has a role in male and female sports. We've seen a lot of female sports personalities been beaten up by a man who's decided he's a woman, gone in and punched their face in. Whose rationale is this? We've got swimmers. You know, these women have trained their whole lives. Look, I do jiu-jitsu. When I've got a competition coming up, I'm training hard. Now imagine I decided I was a woman, went into the same category weight as a woman, and I'll be I'm not misogynistic. There's women out there who would absolutely turn me because jiu-jitsu is one of them kind of sports that it's all about your technique and your, you can weight and size and strength advantage can go out the window. Yeah. But I'll have a blatant unfair advantage. There's a recent video that one of my friends posted on TikTok. A man who identifies as a woman, he's gone into a female toilet. Yeah. Honestly, like he's got full on erection. Yeah, and he's videoing. And the women, like, when are we going to start protecting women from trans women?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's ludicrous. Who was it? It was that MP, Keir Starmer. Couldn't even. I don't want my child to not be able to differentiate between a woman and a woman. But in this day and age, when you ask the question, what is a woman, and MPs, people who are ready to lead the country, start stuttering, yeah, what form of education is that? What form of intellect is that? It's ridiculous.
So maybe you can just give us some final comments and final bits of advice of what you advise the parents, who are living in the UK.
Right, I've had a lot of parents. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not on social media. I only got a TikTok because of this, because a few people advised me, look, you need to really get this message out there. And the only reason I did it was to get this message out there. Speak to your children. Yeah. Do not live under that fake narrative that, it's not going on at my school. This is curriculum. This is statutory. This is framework. Yeah. But the point is, the school have to, this is by law, they have to consult with parents. Yeah. And the school have leeway. Yeah. So, like, framework is like scaffolding, and then how the bricks are built around that scaffolding is up to like consultation. It's, the school have a leeway over it. You need to be engaged in the conversations. You need to say to the school, we want to know, we want to see, and we want to be part of that dialogue. Yeah. Do not expect them to just openly tell you, because there's a bad agenda going on here. Yeah. And that's literally how I see it. Initially, I just thought, no, they've just not got it right. The more I've kind of started looking into it, no, there's an agenda going on here. Yeah. And you know what? Take control of your family constraint. Take control of your kid's future. Yeah. And do not think that someone else has the right to do what they want with your child. Yeah. Wake up. Honestly, wake up. Stop thinking it's not going on.
Another thing I'd want to point out as well is that your religious beliefs are also protected under the same law, which their beliefs are protected. So, is in the UK. So you have every right to have your belief, just because you might be first generation immigrant, you have the same rights as every single person in that country as everyone else. Everyone has the same rights. Don't think that because somebody was born there, they have more rights than you, or you have only first generation immigrant. It doesn't matter. Everyone has equal rights in the UK. But you do have to stand up for yourself. Seek advice from others and seek help from others if need be. But you don't have to just allow people to do whatever they want, especially in the schools. So Jazakallah khair, bro. I might touch base with you again in a few months, and if anything else happens significantly, please reach out to me and maybe we can cover it as well. Because I really want to follow this and see how it progresses and see what happens, inshallah.
No,
it's a big wake up call for me. As I said, same thing. I've been watching what's going around in the world. Even it's going on in London, Manchester. I didn't expect it on my own doorstep, and I found it shocking that there were so many children taken out of school. And it was positive. It was good to hear that the Muslims were being active in doing something about it, and that's the only thing we have, right? And hopefully they listen and realize they can't get away with everything. There needs to be a lot more engagement with the parents.
Yeah, you know what? That's I'll be honest with you. The only reason we kind of got the traction that we did, because for a year, it's U5 parents, it's U5 parents. I'll give it to the parents of Birchfield. They all united. They all stuck together.
Just before we go as well, I want to speak about something happened with you where you was trying to organize a hall where you could have a meeting with the parents, and the council were lobbying the community center and threatening the community center. This is another trick they play. This is
bro, the
what they
tricks
did
they
with me, by
play,
the way. They did the same
is
thing
it?
with me.
Oh my
I
God.
went to
Bro,
Pakistan twice, right,
yeah.
on the dawah, giving dawah in the
Did you go
universities.
to Lahore?
I went to Lahore, went to
Yeah.
Islamabad, Karachi,
Mashallah.
and Peshawar. And then when I came back, all of a sudden I'm a terrorist, they said. And so they told the local mosque, no, you shouldn't let him speak. So, again, first generation immigrant, scared of the pressure,
Look,
and they
you
wouldn't let
know,
me speak in the mosque. So the same thing happened to you. They basically put pressure on the community center, and they wouldn't let you hold your meeting. Is that correct?
the threats were through the roof. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of parents have supported me from the back, and they're like, we can't bring our face forward. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the threats of counterterrorism unit been reported there,
Yep.
prevent
Yep.
been reported there. Yeah, well, they tried to report me there. So this local community center, we hold our charity organization where we do jiu-jitsu, and we're now starting to teach archery. Yeah, to get the kids off the street, stop drugs. All this wonderful work we're doing. Yeah, apparently this extreme hate promoting speaker, we've booked it so they got it blocked. Yeah, we managed to get the booking back. Yeah, and then again the next week when we tried to hold a meeting there, just concerned parents, nothing else is going on. Because it's a council-owned building that's run by local people. They basically sent them a letter saying, we'll revoke your lease if you allow this meeting to take place.
Wow.
We're now trying to arrange a meeting again for parents. Yeah. And we're struggling to find a center. The second time, I paid out my own pocket to book a private banqueting hall. Yeah, so now I'm speaking to these private banqueting halls. We've got one sorted. We should be having a meeting on Wednesday. Yeah. Then they banned me off school premises. I've been banned because apparently I've been intimidating and aggressive towards parents and teachers. Yeah, not a single statement, but now to go pick my kids up from school, I have to park outside, ring the office, and they have to bring my kids out to me. Yeah.
See, this is just games, This is just just to intimidate other parents, to basically tell the other parents, get in line, don't cause a problem. Look what's going to happen to you if you do.
Exactly.
But not everyone's in your situation where they've got their own business. A lot of people are working for people, and they do have
they're
scared of losing their jobs, and understandably,
understandably.
Yeah.
I didn't want to really take the forefront of it, but I was kind of put in that position because it was all open for me. But to be honest with you, I'll give it to all the parents. None of them held back. When they got threats about fines and strikes, they said, you know what, Mr. Sajjad, if you're going to do it, we're going to do it with you. Yeah. When it comes to protesting outside, we're stood with you. Even on my ban, so many parents have turned around and said, you know what, this isn't right. And I think the last straw for everyone was when they scrapped my daughter's books. Like, what has an innocent child got to do with it? I was even laughing, to be honest with you. Like, you ban me off premises. I've got 4 children in 4 different year groups, so I have to go around a few classes. Now I just park up outside and I ring them and they bring my kids out to me. Thank you. You made my life easy.
Inshallah, we ask Allah to grant you success in this, and we ask Allah to protect all of our children, and guide the Muslims, guide everyone to the right way. And at the same time, we really ask Allah to guide our children in this day and age. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's one thing we make dua, but at the same time, as parents, especially Muslim parents, we have to be active. You have to take a strong interest in your children's education from start to finish. You've got different challenges at different age groups. We're being told what's happening now in the primary schools, secondary schools, they up the game. Also, you have the atheist agenda in the schools now, where they're promoting evolution, they're promoting philosophy and atheism, basically. And this is some of the issues. That's why I was in Pakistan the original time, and that's why I speak in doing tours in the universities to try to. A lot of the time, it's preaching to the Muslims, giving them evidences of Islam and why atheism is false. Because you've got that agenda as well, which is trying to, promote saying that there's no God. So, John, it's not just the LGBT thing. As Muslims, you have to be active. You have to instill Islamic education in your children's lives, make them firm on the deen, make them know with iman and knowledge why they are Muslim in the first place. If you are
Yeah.
if you are choosing to live in that type of environment, it needs a
You
lot
have to
more
be
effort
strong
from
in
your
that.
side. Yeah.
100%. John, you know what? Like you touched on the very good point there. You know, look, what does our religion teach us? It teaches us moralities and ethics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a joint attack. Look, when you attack religion, yeah, and that's what they do. They demonize religion, yeah. And then so you get rid of morals and principles. Once you get rid
Yeah.
of morals and principles, you can essentially influence and throw in whatever you want, and it'll be accepted
Exactly.
because people and it's a joint effort. But one thing I would say to parents, look, if this is going on in your school, there's one thing that one of the local mosques suggested, and I think it's actually a beautiful idea. Yeah. They said, look, why don't we set up our own RSC lessons? Yeah. So we know kids are getting taught XYZ in school. Yeah. So then why don't I said to the mosque, why don't you guys get involved? And they were like, why don't we set up our own RSC lessons
Yeah.
where we can teach them how to respect and tolerate everyone, but we can reinforce one of the protected characteristics being religions and
Exactly. Exactly.
because they are favoring one protected characteristic over
Yeah.
all others. Yeah. And
This
it's
is so
evident.
important. Look, it's not just about memorizing the Quran. Look, you know, sending kids to the mosque a few hours after school, memorizing Quran, and a lot of the time the kids don't understand what's going on. How many
Yeah.
people have actually read the Quran in a language that they understand, whether it's English or Urdu, whatever your language is? You have to understand what Allah is telling you, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so important if parents can set this in the local mosques, you know, teaching the kids the basics of Islam. You know,
Yeah.
don't just think that your culture, your family are going to bring you up. You need to be actively taught what the religion is, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, may Allah make it easy for the Muslims and allow us to do better with this. And, you know, may Allah accept it from you, bro. And we ask Allah to protect you and,
Inshallah.
you know, guide them as well. I mean,
Ameen. Thank you very much for having me, John.
Jazakallah khair, bro. So I'll be in touch soon and we'll stay in touch and we'll
Inshallah, I'll
keep you
keep you up to
posted
date.
about what's going on.
Yeah, brother. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء